as well from Rev Pro, so that's there as well. So I mean, it's like so many titles on the line, and then you've got like a tag team kind of tournament, isn't it? I believe that's like most. But these teams are like they're. You got WWE Tag Division, and then you got this one, and this is like chalk and cheese, the quality that you're going to get there. So, yeah, I've got to say I am really, really jealous of this one. I haven't heard of the venue before, by the way, but what is that like? Is that a decent sized venue, or do you not know too much about it where it's been held?
No, it's pretty decent, I'd say. I mean,
have you been there before? Or?
I haven't actually been there before, but you've got to do a little bit of scouting up on it. The seats look pretty good, and they're arranged well. So
Copper Box Arena in Queens Elizabeth. So I'll be interested. Like I'm really like going to be intrigued about just the layout of it and the setup that you get and what they're like. As far as it's one of those things, when you watch stuff on TV, it's very different from being there, and you get a feel to seeing how these guys work, how the setup is between matches. I'm pretty sure you're not going to see referees standing out there telling guys to pose on the hard camera.
I think they're a pretty serious company, aren't they? Yeah. So they will have done their homework on the place, and they will have thought, actually, people are going to get a good view. I mean, I know some of the places we've been to have not actually had the best seating, but we'll let you know more about that when it's passed, and I can review that situation properly. Yeah, it's going to be an amazing show. So Matt is there on the 31st of August, and I believe that starts at like afternoon time. I think it's like 3 o'clock. So it's going to be an epic show, I would imagine. And also, I'm going to be attending a local event, actually, like literally 2 minutes away on foot down my local community centre, watching Dropkicks Academy. Very different end of the spectrum. But I will be there live that day from about 7:30. That starts bell time. And then we have the small matter of AEW that night. We've got All Out. It's their final pay-per-view before TNT television, and they're going to start weekly. So it's a crazy final day of August to go into September with, but obviously lots will unfold after that. So I'll be a big show, I would imagine, the week after that for us, talking about all the wrestling and what's going on. Is the NXT pay-per-view around that time as well? I have no idea. Have they got their own one as well? This could be crazy if it's all on the same night. I'm gonna take over. I'll check that out. Take over Cardiff. Oh yeah, you're right. Let's have a look at that one, because again they made a bit of a balls up, not knowing that the rugby. Oh my God, you are spot on. That. So it's crazy actually, weekend. I said 3 in one earlier on my blog, but actually it's 4. So, and that's live at like 6:30, so I'm guessing they're going to stream that live on the network. That's crazy. So obviously it's not going to go right up against AEW because of the time difference, but still they're still running it on that show. So there are 4 things then in one day. That's crazy, isn't it? All in August there, 31st. So very, very busy. Nice segue now onto NXT, Matt. What do you make of the rumours that have been coming out that God knows who's behind it, but Vince wants to put that gem up against AEW on a Wednesday night, which I think the title of that is like Wednesday Night is Dynamite or something like that. Now they want to put NXT. Now, first of all, they were talking about FS1. Now they're talking Fox. Now they're talking about this going on there. Is this what is it with WWE and just like not ever enjoying anybody else get something? But like they are obviously taking this quite serious, because don't forget, when we saw Impact Wrestling on Spike many years ago, WWE didn't care. They did not care. They had Hogan going there, they had Bischoff, I remember X-Pac was on there, Flair, Foley, all these names, but they didn't care. They just refused to talk about it, and they stuck to their own stuff, which I thought, means that they're above all that. With AEW, why are they suddenly now, Matt, just doing everything they can in their power to make sure that, they do not succeed? Is this because the ratings have been so bad for themselves that they're thinking, hang on, we can't just have Monday and Tuesdays or Fridays, which is what it's going to become when it goes on Fox again. We've got to have that Wednesday night spot as well. What do you think about putting NXT up against it first and foremost, Matt? Because
I don't know. It's not kind of WWE in a sense because NXT is so different. But does that then mean if it goes live on TV that Vince is going to have more of a hand in this, and which we're not going to like NXT all that much more? Please tell me no. But I mean, there can't be any other reason they're doing this, Matt, because it's not like they ever were thinking about NXT on TV before AEW's come along. So
yeah, I really hope Vince isn't going to sort of get his hands on and adjust things and tweak things because, you know, NXT's been so successful, and why do you need to fix something that isn't broken? I just don't know. And the whole input that Triple H has had with that, it's been incredible. And if he has to give that up, I can't be too sure he'd be so happy about it because it's something he's very passionate about. And it's hard to actually let something like that go and let other people meddle with it. I can't help but feel like the quality of the matches would come down because it can be restrictive sometimes working for WWE, and you get a little bit more freedom in NXT. But perhaps being on TV, the schedule and the travel and all that would become more of a factor. I'm not a big fan of it myself. I kind of liked NXT being its own thing. And if you're going to take a developmental system and make it bigger, then where is your development now? Where's that going to come from? Yeah. Are we going to have to find another thing to watch, and a new product? Because if NXT is going to get bigger and what they would say suggest is going to be better, I think they're extending it an hour as well, aren't they? Yeah. Which is just crazy as well, because one thing they get criticised a lot of the time is that there's just so much wrestling to keep up with these days, and then they want to add an extra hour to NXT.
Yeah, I don't know where this is all coming from, if this is Vince. I mean, nobody truly knows where the decisions... It might even be, I know everyone is very critical of Vince, but it might even be that Triple H is actually, you know, like you see him at these Hall of Fame things, or you see him in, like, person. He always has a little bit of a dig at AEW. It might even be him throwing his hat in and going, Vince, give me the shot, let us go live. I started this independent stuff. I started this style of wrestling. Now I want to put it on TV for all eyes to see, because we were doing this, you know, 3-4 years ago, and these guys have just come along. And I mean, it makes some sense to have that style wrestling go up against AEW because it's the closest that they're going to get. I mean, if you put SmackDown or Raw against it, it's like watching two different companies, I would imagine. And there would be a divide, I think, more. But with NXT, it's slightly different because NXT focus on the in-ring stuff. However, they also brand it as, you know, the not great until you get to the main card. So I'm guessing all that would change when they rebrand this stuff. But it's fascinating to see. I mean, I think these announcements are going to come soon because we've only got October, so it's not far off. I mean, literally, as soon as AEW's done this final pay-per-view, it's all on. I mean, it's game on, and I think we're going to... I mean, it sounds crazy, but did we think, Matt, at the beginning of January when we had New Year, before AEW even had a TV deal, everyone was taking them, you know, as a bit of a joke. They hadn't signed Kenny Omega by then, and Young Bucks weren't even there then even. They were in Ring of Honor. And everyone was like, WWE are offering better deals. They'll go WWE. They'll be at Royal Rumble, this kind of stuff. You know, now, at this far down the line, Matt, we're coming to their final pay-per-view. Everything I'm hearing about this, they're selling out all the TV tapings with ease. I mean, they're like hotcakes, those tickets. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like that forever, because this is a new thing, and people, I think, are just looking for an alternative. So they are going to get that boom period, I believe. The ratings are going to be high, but it's what happens, you know, 6-7 months down the line, more or less. I think you'll see who have they really got a hand in it by then. And by the way, if they have, then wow, because WWE have been in this marketplace for God knows how long without anybody coming close to them since WCW. So it's been a long time. But, you know, that aside, Matt, I mean, it's crazy to think back then that we would be on the verge of another war, possibly a Wednesday night war this time, not a Monday night. But it looks like it's in the makings. It looks like all the stars are aligning for this to actually go down and be a thing again, Matt. Like, and I think, you know, regardless, I try to look, if you're going to support one or the other, fine, but obviously most people are just going to watch both. I've got to be totally honest with you. From the people I know, especially NXT. It might have been different if it was SmackDown or Raw, but I think NXT, I think the same kinds of fans will enjoy both. So WWE aren't, they might think that they're going to win it, but the only people that are going to win out of this truly are the fans. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, it's going to be a great time again, because I think it's only going to help both companies compete against one another to get, the biggest claim in. But, the only surprising thing for me, Matt, is the fact that WWE they look like they've got their backs to the wall at the moment, and they're trying to do everything they possibly can to stockpile talent, stop things from happening. It's very strange. Do you think we're going to go into another war scenario, though, Matt? Is that really on the cards, or do you think that's...
It sounds like the shots have been fired, doesn't it? It sounds like they're positioning themselves that way.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I feel like people will just end up watching both, or a majority of the people will. And of course, there's going to be these hardcore independent fans who don't agree with the way that WWE do business, so they want to watch an alternative in AEW. So perhaps AEW will edge it on that night and get more viewers that way. And you also feel, as well, the way that AEW brands their company, that AEW is the AAA title. Going against, like you said, NXT's sort of, minor leagues, which doesn't help that much. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work to sort of rebrand NXT to be a dominant brand in the WWE universe. So we'll see how that all pans out. I mean, the only way they can do this kind of thing, I've got to believe, is to do what they've already started doing and start moving some superstars to NXT for special appearances. People like Samoa Joe and Nakamura, people who they know have a solid run there, and Finn Balor. That would bring big ratings to NXT again in those kind of situations. Yeah,
I would imagine that's what they will do as well. For that, I mean, it's going to be crazy. You got Morrow on there at least, great announcer. I think that's going to be. Talking of announcers, just literally today being announced for AEW, Tony Schiavone. He's back in the business again, Matt. I mean, an old name from the past there. Not since WCW we've heard Tony Schiavone. He has done some MLW gigs before, but he went away and he done some baseball. Like he went back into where he started. But I have listened to his podcast like the last 3 or 4 years, and it's one of those things. Like Tony Schiavone, for me, back in the day, I never used to enjoy his work. I know he come over, he had like a brief stint in WWF, didn't he? He done like what was the Royal Rumble he called? I can't remember. It's the one with the Warrior and Hogan at the end. But I remember him calling that. But I wasn't like a big Tony Schiavone fan. But I tell you what was average to me then seems to be outstanding now, because against what we've got now, I'd take a Tony Schiavone over most of those announcers, just because I think like back then they called it on the fly a little bit more, and I don't know, there's a bit of a passion behind it. I feel like now they all sound the same. Doesn't matter if they're female or male, they all just seem to be saying the same words. And they can't say certain things, and it's like, unless you're Mauro Ranallo in WWE, he's the only guy I think that will go off script, because the guy is so passionate about what he does. He just probably lets it flow. I can't imagine Triple H or Vince or Kevin Dunn sitting in his earpiece going, say about the storyline now, say about, don't call the move, call it, you know what I mean? So I think Tony Schiavone is a great signing for AEW, because I know people will think it's about the talent in the ring, but trust me, that's a visual thing. But you've got to have guys like Jim Ross that can call great stories in the ring, and I think Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, I think it makes for an even better team now amongst them. Get some names in there and some legitimacy. So I think it's a great signing for them. And apparently more signings to come. There's another announcer by all accounts that they are working on getting. So we don't know who that is, but apparently he's well known. So we'll have to wait to find that. But it's good news, I think, for TNT, and obviously the television debut when that happens. Interesting times. Just a quick mention about AEW, because obviously I'm not sure we'll be doing a podcast until then, but how excited are you now, Matt, for their final pay-per-view? Feels like kind of, even though it's a pay-per-view, it's kind of like the go-home pay-per-view before TV. It's the other way round. Obviously it's crowning their champion, Matt, and Cody keeps coming out. Tony Khan comes out and says, look, we want the importance to go back on the championship. The championship should be the focus. Whoever has got the belt should be the guy. Now they've done a really good job here of, first of all, having Chris Jericho go over Kenny Omega. I think that was a good